How good was Ben Wallace?
Hey, Tone. I tell you what, Tone.
I had to do that.
I know. I know you did. Here's the thing. Ben Wallace was actually really good at what he did. Let's make sure we clear on that, Tone. He was great at what he did. But what we're not going to do, what I'm not going to do, is I'm not going to make Ben Wallace out to be something more than what he was. Ben Wallace was a defender and a rebounder. That's it. He was an anchor on defense. He was a rebounder. He was a catalyst for that Detroit Pistons team, gave them toughness. He's in the Hall of Fame, deservingly so, absolutely. But I'm not going to make this guy out to be more than what he was. I won't do that because that's not fair to guys who were better, who were just as good as him at what he did, but better than him in other areas. I'm not going to put him in that. I'm not going to put him in that category. No, he wasn't better than Dwight Howard. He wasn't better than Olajuwon. He wasn't better than Dennis Rodman. He wasn't better than those guys.
So why is he in the Hall of Fame?
He's in the Hall of Fame because of what he had done in the NBA. What he had done in college as well, because again, Tone, you and I have had this conversation countless times. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. And in the process of it being the Basketball Hall of Fame, it's an accumulation of your career. But he is in the Hall of Fame because of everything that he did with the Detroit Pistons. That catapulted him. 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, made the All-NBA team a couple of times. Made the All-Star team a couple of times. They were the class of the Eastern Conference in the 2000s. Went to the Eastern Conference Championship with him in the lineup five times. So he's in the Hall of Fame because of what he did. The same reason why Mutombo's in the Hall of Fame, because of defense and rebounding. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Am I wrong that I don't think they should be in the Hall of Fame?
I do think you're wrong that he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I do think that Ben Wallace, when you're elite, and not just elite as a defensive player, when I think about Ben Wallace, I think about a guy who, Tone, remember, he won the Defensive Player of the Year. He won the Defensive Player of the Year 4 times. In 6 years, 4 of those 6 years, he won the Defensive Player of the Year. He finished second twice, so it could have been 6 in a row. So he was clearly an elite defensive player, and not just an elite defensive player for a stretch, for more than half the decade. And that matters. And the same way that we talk about a guy who is buckets, I think that we should talk about guys who are defensive specialists as well, because we do the same thing with Dennis Rodman. We do the same thing with Draymond Green, and these guys aren't buckets. So I think we should treat guys like Ben Wallace the same way as we do those guys. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to put him in a category where guys do the same thing that he did just as good, but did other things better. I can't put him in the same category as those guys.
So I've always struggled with who gets into the Hall of Fame and who doesn't get into.
You have, yeah.
And again, the problem is there's so many people that are now in that how do you keep others who are better out? And that's my problem, is if we have Ben Wallace, and listen, Ben Wallace, elite defender, multiple time defensive player of the year, whether it's Ben Wallace or, Rudy Gobert now probably is gonna be in that same category. You mentioned Mutombo. I don't feel that specialists should be in the Hall of Fame, but I also feel that half the guys in the Hall of Fame shouldn't be in there. So I get the case for Ben Wallace. I get the case for, like, Dennis Rodman. When I compare Ben Wallace to Dennis Rodman, well, Dennis Rodman was every bit of the defender that Ben Wallace was, but he was also a better rebounder. He was a better on-ball, off-ball. Let me just deal this for a second. I don't know who Boise is. Ticket TV owns you. No, let's be clear on Ticket TV. All right, one, go watch the tape. Ticket TV is not Fluent. I had to correct him on multiple things. I'm not saying that he's passionate. He yells and screams, but we're not going to get into that. And if you're talking about Chill getting mad, yeah, Chill got upset and had to go. we were supposed to only be on that show for an hour, and it went like 3 hours long. So let's leave that out. That's done. That's the end of that conversation.
Hello, Jillian dear. How are you?
Go out Ticket TV. Go to Ticket TV. Go watch him. You let him yell and scream and call you names. That's not what we do. To another question about where is Hailey. Hailey is off today.
Yes, she is.
She needs to, she's got stuff to do. So it's just us two.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are those two things. So we'll leave those. He knows that game way better than y'all. No, he does not. And I proved that last night multiple times. Look, I get it. You're a fan of his. Go watch him. That's very fine. But again, yelling and screaming does not make
I think it's dope. I think it's dope, Tone, when people come in to other people's platform, and in the process of them coming into other people's platform, they think that they're going to do something by trying to show us up. And when the proof is when the proof is in the pudding, we did what we did yesterday. All right, we did what we did yesterday. And if most people watch this, whoever watched the show, they'll know that the outburst that I had, we had been on for almost an hour at that point. And in the process of us being on for almost an hour at that point, this guy was cursing at us. He was yelling. He was talking over everybody. Nobody was really able to get their point across at any point.
If I may, that's his shtick. I'm an angry man who, if I yell loud enough, someone will listen. And look, I'm not saying none of his points are valid. In fact, he yelled at me and we were saying the same thing. When we had the LeBron Jordan thing, we both picked Jordan and he was still yelling at me. But you see how quickly, when you hit him with facts, like for example, because listen, we're going to talk about this for 1 minute and then we're done. When he started talking about Dennis Rodman picking up the scoring slack when Pippen was out. And then unfortunately, right, we had to get Fluent on him. And I said, well, he averaged 4.5 points per game when Pippen was out on the 9-7 stretch. And then when the stretch where they went 15-4, 4.9. Oh, well, there's no more yelling when you're wrong. So that's the thing, is you guys who look up to him, Boise, if you're still here, because you think he yells and screams and cusses, that makes him correct. No, his opinion is just louder. It doesn't make it more valid.
Right.
So we're going to put an end to that. And listen, I find, for me, that's not the type of thing I want. I don't need someone yelling and screaming and cussing to try to get a point across, which when you're wrong, he goes all quiet, which is typical, right, of people who act that way. So we're done with that. We're not disrespectful. We're professionals. We're grown men. And if you don't like that, bye.
Now, now you were saying, Tone, you was talking about the Basketball Hall of Fame and Ben Wallace.
Hall of Fame. Yeah. So guys that are specialists. So people are going to kill me for this, but like Dikembe, Ben Wallace, Robin, to a lesser degree, because again, he did multiple things well. I'm trying to think of like Kyle Korver, right? These guys who are really, really good at one thing are great players. They're great players.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make them Hall of Fame. Like, I think a Hall of Famer is above that. Like, there's levels.
Mm-hmm. Tone, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Focus, man.
We didn't play the game. Like, dude, like,
don't worry about that, Tone. Tone. Anyway, like you were saying.
So it's just like, I feel like there's a different level. When I say Hall of Fame, I got to look at players that are like, if they're not the top 3 to 5 in their, like, multiple times in their years of playing, you shouldn't even be considered. Like, if you're not a top 5 player in the majority of years that you are playing, and I want you to play more than 5, 6, 7 years,
right?
I'm not saying you're not great. I just don't want you in the Hall of Fame. Like, I really want the Hall of Fame to be elite, right? I want there to, like, if there's a year where no one gets into the Hall of Fame, I'm okay with that.
Baseball does that.
I'm okay with that.
Baseball does that. But if that's my rebuttal to that, Tone, is, well, if that's the case, then we got to take out a bunch of guys who are scorers. So, like George Gervin, should George Gervin be in the Hall of Fame? Because George Gervin was a specialist. George Gervin was buckets. That's who he was. Kevin Durant, who is, you make it crystal clear to us on the regular. What is KD, Tone?
KD is going to be, I know I'm getting killed for it now. And
Right.
no one will remember me in 15 years. History will not be kind to Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant does do things. So, okay, he's an elite scorer.
Right.
However, he does do things for a guy and this is the thing, you have to add the caveat, for a guy his size, they're impressive. His ability to ball handle and play make for a guy his size is impressive.
Right.
When he's on a good defensive team, he can play very good defense. Okay. So Kevin Durant is different because he does one thing exceptional, and then he does a bunch of stuff really great, and then he does a bunch of other things good. So for me, he's a clear-cut Hall of Famer. But like, I'm trying to think of George Gervin. I don't know Gervin as well as you do, but Gervin, what are those things outside of score that he did? If the answer is nothing,
Gervin was just buckets. That's what he was. George Gervin was strict, just like Bernard King. Bernard King was buckets. Now, don't get me wrong, Tony. During that time, you had to play defense. But George Gervin came from the ABA. And then coming from the ABA, that was a fast-paced, get up and down the floor. If you shooting the ball 100 times, we shooting the ball 130. That was the plan. It was, I think that I could hit you more than I could stop you from hitting me. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that when I'm thinking about a specialist, when I think about a guy who is primarily doing something on one side of the ball, I don't think that should negate them from being a Hall of Famer. Now, I will tell you this, Tone, because you mentioned
and I am adding another piece to it, right? A specialist who isn't the number one on their team, right? If you're
the number one, what?
Anything. If you're the fourth best player on your team, this is my issue with Draymond. Is an exception again because of what he means to the team, but at the same time, if Draymond wasn't winning, if Draymond wasn't on the Warriors,
right?
If Draymond was on another team putting up those numbers, not winning championships, we would not be saying he's a Hall of Famer, right? Because he's going to be the fourth best player on that team.
Right.
So I'm like I said, I want the Hall of Famer to be the key.
So if that's true, Tone, then what we got to do now is we have to get, because what you're going off for Draymond Green, we're going strictly off what he did in the NBA. So if that's true, we have to have a pro basketball Hall of Fame, just like we have a pro football Hall of Fame, just like we have a baseball Hall of Fame, right? So if we're going to do that with Draymond, we got to do that with everybody in terms of just a pro basketball Hall of Fame, because Draymond's basketball career warrants him being in the Hall of Fame. No doubt about that. Ben Wallace's basketball career warrants him being in the Hall of Fame. Like I said yesterday when we were on that show, people talk about Dennis Rodman's, and the reason why I brought up Dennis Rodman's college numbers is because people talk about his inability to score. Dennis Rodman averaged 26 a game in college. So I can score the basketball. It's just that on this unit that I'm on, that's not necessary for me. So if I ended up playing somewhere else, I could have developed into a better scorer because I could score in college. So you saw that I could score, whether it be in transition, and Dennis Rodman could knock down mid-range shots. He could do that. He didn't do that in the NBA because that wasn't my job. I'm the dirty work guy. And not only am I the dirty work guy, I'm going to excel at that. And that's going to enhance our group. But don't think that because I didn't do these things that I can't do them. Because I could do them. It just wasn't necessary for what I was for the crew that I was on.
Listen, I admit my Hall of Fame standard is super high. Just quickly before we get into what we're supposed to start with, which is me.
Yep.
Giving you non-basketball stuff. So we're going to get to Birds Aren't Real, because I know you guys saw that in the trailer. So we're going to get to Birds Aren't Real in a second. But I will quickly say, it looks like the real Ticket might be here. So let me just clarify something for Ticket, because he's in our comments saying stuff. One, you keep, I saw a bit of you. I'd never heard of you before, just to be honest. And after yesterday's show, I went onto your live, because you went on live after the Jason Williams shows ended, and you said it was 1 verse 5, and that's about what I understood. And let's be clear, Mr. Ticket, it wasn't 1 verse 5. We were talking about LeBron and Jordan, and there was 3 of us who picked Jordan and 2 people who picked LeBron. Which, that's what I'm trying to explain to you. You don't listen, you just yell. It's not even you don't listen, you just talk. All you do is yell. Now, that again, like I said before you came on, that's your thing. Cool, it works. You got a lot of followers, you got a lot of publicity, and that's good for you. It works for you. That's just not how we do things. We don't yell and scream. We don't need to call people names. We don't need to cuss. That's not who we are. So
I don't think that's ticket action.
You do you. And again, I'm happy it works for you. But one, listen, your ticket got punched when you were talking about Dennis Rodman picking up the scoring slap. I fixed you there. In terms of OG leaving, I know he can say this himself, and he did, but I'll repeat it. He had to go because we only had an hour to do that show, and we went on for 2.5. And three, how can I put this nicely? It wasn't 1 verse 5. It wasn't 1 verse 5. Let's just put it that way. All right, moving on. So
I don't think that's ticket anyway.
We talked about. We talked about birds aren't real was in the trailer, and everyone's been asking, what the is birds aren't real? So I don't know if you know this. Have you heard this yet?
No, I've never heard it.
Man, in 1959, here's how the story goes. In 1959 until the year 2001, the U.S. government. This is real, guys. This is not. I'm not saying this is real. I'm saying there are actual people who believe this. Okay. From the year 1959 until 2001, they killed 12 billion birds. The U.S. government killed 12 million birds and replaced them with robot birds with listening and video devices to spy on Americans.
What?
That's what I said. I thought it was a joke. And when I was told, Mrs. Fluent said, "Hey, have you heard about this birds aren't real?" And I said, no. And then I looked it up. There is a trending hashtag that birds aren't real. There is a website. There's a GoFundMe page. Like, they legitimately think. At first, everyone thought it was a joke, like it was a satire. There was an actual commercial, TV commercial in 1987 that said, "Hey, it's 1987. And, call this number to support birds aren't real. Stop the American government from listening in on you," and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. And people are donating money. And there's a hashtag.
So this is a thing. This is going on. This is an actual thing, Tom.
It's an actual thing.
Oh, my God.
It's an actual thing.
So when I see pigeons in my neighborhood, I need to be concerned. Is that what you're telling me?
Why do you think they don't fly away?
They actually do.
They're just like they just there.
So I got to worry about what I'm eating. And on top of what I'm eating, now I got to worry about birds not being real. That's what I got to worry about, too. So when I see pigeons, they might have, from what I'm understanding, from this logic that I'm listening to, they might have robots in them with the cameras that come up that's really looking at me and spying on me. Is that what I'm understanding when it comes to birds aren't real?
That is the birds aren't real movement.
Oh, so, no, man.
Be warned.
That sounds wow right there.
Be forewarned, I guess, that the birds aren't real. So we needed to start with that because I thought it was really important because, listen, I don't even know what else to say.
I don't either.
Birds.
I really don't.
So let's.
This is an actual thing.
Go. Like I said, go search it because it is. It's like, I mean, the videos, they've been on, like, news. People have interviewed them. In fact, one of the birds aren't real kind of early adopters, I guess, was on a morning show, and she was like, "This is satire, right? Like, you're joking." She's like, and he's like, "No, I find that very offensive. This is real."
Right.
So
that's what I thought.
So there you go. Birds ain't real.
Yeah, that's kind of.
All right.
Tone, you know me. You know I'm a fan of conspiracy theories. You know I dig conspiracy theories.
That's why I like to bring you this stuff.
Right. I dig conspiracy theories.
We got 2 today.
Right. I dig conspiracy theories. Right. So when I see stuff like birds aren't real, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Okay, I've seen vultures before because I live in a neighborhood where the street that I live on, like, there's been roadkill on the street that I live on, and vultures, I see them flying in and dealing with them. And there have been blue jays in my neighborhood. I live next to the beach, so with me living next to the beach, I've seen cardinals. So all of these birds are not real. They're not real.
My backyard backs onto, like, a conservation area, so I've got robins, cardinals, blue jays.
Right.
what are those blue herons? Like, I got everything.
Right.
Like, I read this. I'm like, I have a blue heron that's like the size of me. I'm like, damn, I hope that's a bird. Because if that's a robot, they're going to mess up my house. Quickly, I will say this. And listen, I hate to interrupt again. However, what seems to be the real Ticket TV came on and says, I don't use burners. Got respect for y'all. We all cool. And if that is you, the real Ticket TV, again, well, like we said at the end of the show last night, look, it's all about debate. You don't all have to have the same opinion. We get going. Hey, and then at the end of the day, we're cool. Trust me, me and Jay have come almost to blows. I almost threw him off of. You guys don't know this. I almost threw Jay off the yacht because we. But no, I know Ticket TV. We are cool. I was pretty sure that was a fake account, but listen, you got some loyal followers, so good for you. All right, we're gonna jump into some NFL now. NFC East. Ticket TV, hold on, and if I may say, he said, Ticket TV, I'm live right now. You're always live. Ron told me you're literally live 24 hours a day, so maybe you need to get some sleep. All right, so here we go. Let's go with the NFC East. So I'm going to pull up. All right, actually, no, let's do this because Hailey's not here to kind of read out the schedule. So I'll get you to give me your kind of predictions of the NFC East. And then while you're doing that, I'll pull up the schedules for those teams, and we'll see. You want to do the first 10 weeks, or was that?
Yeah, that's what we did before, Tom. We did the first 10 weeks. Yeah.
Let's do that again.
Yeah. So we did the first 10 weeks.
So who you got kind of start, maybe go worst to first.
Well, worst to first. Now, I'm going to get roasted for
whatever order
I'm going to get roasted for this, but I don't think the Cowboys are going to be as good as everybody thinks that they're going to be. I can appreciate what I've seen in terms of moves. I immediately think of when I think about what the Cowboys situation is with the wide receiver, and their wide receiver in their air attack. Moving CeeDee Lamb now to the number one option as opposed to the number two option, Tone, I immediately think about Alvin Harper. When Alvin Harper was the number two option, when he was running alongside of Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman, he looked like an all-time great. Well, when he became the number one option in Tampa, he completely fell off the face of the earth. CeeDee Lamb is in a situation where now he is going to be the focal point of that air attack. Not only is he going to be the focal point of that air attack, they are now focusing on him and him only, right? Him and him only. And I think that when I think about the Cowboys, I don't think that they run the football enough. I think Zeke stays beat up, even though I would like to see him run the football more. I think that they underachieve. I'm not sure that the Cowboys, even though Micah Parsons is going to make that defense better, I think that the Cowboys go the other way. I do.
Are you saying CeeDee Lamb isn't a number one wide receiver in the NFL?
I don't know if he is, Tone. I don't.
Shots fired.
I don't know if he is. I'm going to find out this season because now that Amari Cooper is gone, I'm going to find out if he's really a number one wide receiver. When we're looking at a team with the Cowboys who you are the focal point of their aerial attack. It's because of you. So that means that now you're going to get their best corner. You're going to get Jalen Ramsey on you. You're going to get the best corner covering you. And now you have to produce. You didn't get that last year. You got the second best corner. You got the third best corner. You got teams playing zone. No. Now it's going to be press coverage, and their best corner is going to deal with you and you only. So I'm real interested to see. I think the Cowboys take a step back. I do. I think the Cowboys take a step back. From there, I think that the Giants get better, but I don't think that they get that much better. Tony, they were last. They were third. They were at the bottom of the league in rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns. The catalyst of this team is Daniel Jones. I think that they have talent on both sides of the football. Getting Thibodeau in the draft, I think that was big for them. But when I think about their wide receiver core, I like Galloway. He was in Detroit. He was a 1,000-yard receiver. Not only was he a 1,000-yard receiver, he was really good for them, right?
Is that because he had Matthew Stafford, who is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones?
Right. He is a better quarterback. And with that being said, that's what I mean, Tone, when I say that the catalyst of this season is going to be Daniel Jones because the talent is there. Saquon Barkley is in year 5 now we're going into. I thought last year, I looked at Saquon last year like I looked at Clay this year. With that injury that he had, that ACL, I was looking for him to just be able to hold up, and he couldn't do that. Not only could he not do that, he ended up being out for the remainder of the season. He didn't even last half the season. So this year for me, is a make or break year. Because what I can't see from Saquon is I can't see Saquon playing 4 or 5 games and then getting hurt and he's done for the season. I'm out, Tone. If that happens for me with Saquon Barkley, I'm out. I do think that they did a better job with their defense, right? I do think that they did a better job with their defense and getting Thibodeau. I think he's going to help them out a lot, right? I think Thibodeau's going to help them out a lot. I'm still worried about the Giants secondary. I think their secondary has always been their Achilles heel. Their secondary and their offensive line for the Giants has been their Achilles heel. But the difference with that offense this season, because I think that they had the talent offensively, I think the difference was going to be Daniel Jones. If he doesn't produce, then we have to start looking, because I think we're going into year 4 with him now. Then I think we got to start looking in another direction. I think about the Commanders, and Tone, I know you out on Carson Wentz. I'm not. I am not out. God bless you. I'm not out. I'm not out on Carson Wentz. Not yet.
I was never in on Carson Wentz, so I don't know that.
I was. I was in on. I was in on him a couple years back when he was in Philadelphia, and before he tore his knee up, he was looking at being the league MVP.
MVP candidate for part of the season.
Yeah, he looked like he was going to be the MVP of the league.
Looked like an MVP for a while too.
I'm not. I'm just not out on him yet. I want to give this situation in Washington a chance. Not only that, I think about the receiving core and I think about the defense in Washington. It could very well be better, Tone, because when I look at Terry McLaurin, if I look at the wide receivers in this division, AJ Brown, McLaurin, Galloway, CeeDee Lamb, where is he? I think you can make the argument he's the best wide receiver in the league. Now, I know how you feel about AJ Brown, Tone.
You don't mean in the division.
In the division, not in the league. No. In the division. No, I'm not going that far. In the division.
That would have been a hot take.
No, in the division. Now, I know how you feel about AJ Brown, and I'm going to get to AJ Brown in a second. But I saw what Terry did. I saw what McLaurin did last season, and he did it with a backup in Heineke. So when you have a bona fide starter in Carson Wentz, and I think that offense will be better, I think that they're going to be able to open up that offense with him even more. I think the Washington could win 10 games. I think that they could. I think that they could win between 8 and 10 games. Yeah, I do. I think Philadelphia is the class of that division. Now, here's the thing, though, Tone. The thing that I think about with Philadelphia is I think about A.J. Brown, and everybody's excited about A.J. Brown coming over. My question is Jalen Hurts better than Ryan Tannehill? Because when I think about a wide receiver like A.J. Brown, as good as he was, I think he had, 1,200 yards last year? I'm not 100% sure that Jalen Hurts is that much better than Ryan Tannehill. Now, I think he's at a better upside than Ryan Tannehill, but we're talking about
as a passer. I don't think Jalen Hurts is better than Ryan Tannehill.
Well, that's my point, Tone.
Running ability, yes.
Right now, overall, I think he's a better athlete overall. I will give you that, but I'm talking about as a passer, as a pocket presence. Does he command the pocket? Can he deliver the football 3-step, 5-step? This is going to be one of those years that he's going to have to prove that with an elite receiver like A.J. Brown. And I'm not sure that he's better than Ryan Tannehill, who was good last year. And A.J. Brown, I think, made him a lot better. So that's why I was saying I'm not sure about A.J. Brown being the best wide receiver in the division, considering what I saw McLaurin do last year with a backup. But I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles, I think they're the class of that division. I think that the offense is going to run more through Devontae Smith. I think that they should have ran it more through him last year. I think that they were concerned about him being a rook, but I think that they involve him a lot more in the offense this year than they did last year. Jalen Hurts being the leading rusher on that team bothers me, Tone, because I think Miles Sanders needs to be better. Is he just not as good as I think he is, or are they not involving him more?
They got to get him the touches.
That's what
Philadelphia did have. I want to say the number one rushing offense, at least in the NFC, maybe in football. Mm-hmm. But that had a lot to do with Jalen Hurts.
Right. So I think what for that division, as they call it, the NFC least, I think 11 wins that division.
All right. So give me your rankings, and then I'll do mine.
Philly, Washington, Giants, Cowboys. Cowboys at the bottom of the. I'm sorry, flip that around. Cowboys, Giants, not Giants, Cowboys. Cowboys, Giants.
Philly. Do you know any idea wins?
Philly 11. Washington, I think they win 10 games. The Cowboys, I think they 8-8, 9. I think they 8-9, 9-8, and then The Giants. I think the Giants win 6 games.
And 6-11 for the Giants. Woo-wee. Okay, so you gave a good analysis. So I'm not going to go too deep into each one, other than to say I'm with you. I got Philly at the top of the list, 12-5. I then have Washington at 9-8, Dallas at 8-9, and the Giants bottom of the barrel 5-12.
5-12. Okay, I got them at 6-11.
You know how I feel about the best thing that could happen to the Giants is like Danny No Dimes getting hurt, and then like trading for Jimmy G. And I've said that to you before.
And let me ask you this question, Tone. I'm glad you brought that up too. I'm so glad you brought that up.
And let me just say one thing on Washington.
Yep.
Heineke will throw more passes to Tyler McLaurin than Carson Wentz.
Well, here's the thing, Tone. I think that when I think about Heineke as a backup, he might be the best backup in the game.
I think they should have just stuck with him.
And that's where I was going, Tone, because I think he might be the best backup in the game. And I think them giving up on him, I mean, he is in year 5, and he's been a journeyman, but he wasn't terrible last year. In fact, he was pretty good.
He was the year before in that playoff game when he kind of went in.
Right.
I feel like we give up on players and coaches way too fast, and we don't work with them. And then you bring in new coaches, new systems, new philosophies, new terminologies, and people don't realize how complex. I think I've said this to you before, right? Coach Jackson showed me the playbook. It's like this thick,
and I got to learn it in like 2 months.
Yeah, less. And it's just like, and then when you get to know it, and you get to know even the terminologies, because like, you know, I shouldn't bring up his name because he's now been, but like when you hear coaches or players, you know, when they go, hey, red zebra flat 42 9 or 6 for Alaska, Ohio, and they're like, what the hell was that? And they're like, oh, it was this. Well, that team might have used Ohio, you know, oh, the state is whatever it means, this side, right side, this side, left side, whatever. I'm just giving you an example. But another team will be like, no, it's the color. If you say yellow, it's left. If you say purple, it's, you know, all those things mean different things. So you're not just learning a different plays and a different playbook. It might be the same play, but a completely different call for that exact same play. And that's where it gets so confusing. So when you change that philosophy, that terminology, the coaches around, it's the fact that they can do it. That alone, I think, is impressive. So let's go through the schedule. So we both picked the Giants to finish at the bottom of the NFC East. So let's go through their first slate of games.
Now this is their first 10 weeks, right, Tone? This is a little bit more than half the season. All right, I'm listening.
10 weeks. Giants at Titans.
L.
Agree. Panthers in New York.
I think they beat Carolina. W.
L. Cowboys in New York.
L.
Agreed. Watch yourself on this one. Bears in New York. How many home games do they have? Jeez, 3 in a row.
They beat the Bears in a 12-9 dogfight.
They do beat the Bears, sadly. That's going to be their first win for me of the season. I might not just watch them. I've never missed a Bears game. Never missed a Bears game. I'm going to miss my first one this season.
Tone, in all your years of being a Chicago Bears football fan, have you missed a Bears game?
Does it count if I like watch it later, like not live?
No, it does. But yes, it does count.
Oh, it does count. Yeah, then I've probably missed a handful.
Well, wait. I'm saying, have you? When I say have you missed the game? I mean, did you? I mean live. When the game showed, they played at 4:00. Did you see the game? They played at 1:00. Did you see the game?
Oh yeah. I've missed a handful of games.
Okay,
a handful in like 30 plus years.
Not many though.
Not many. Like okay. I will find a way. I tell people I was in Hawaii. It's 6 a.m. for the 1:00 game. I'm somewhere watching the game, whether it's in the hotel room, at a bar. I'm somewhere watching a game.
Yeah.
100%. I'm in Greece. It's crazy. It's 10 o'clock. I'm watching the game. Yeah. I always. Yeah. I don't miss a game. I find a way. This is why I love having it on my phone. Like I can be. I hate to say this. I could be at like a baptism, like a church, and I'll have it on my phone. I was looking up the stairs, but I should be looking up higher. Okay, So that's an L. Giants go to Green Bay.
L.
L. Again, another home game. Jeez. Ravens.
L.
They travel to Jacksonville.
I think the Giants have had luck in Florida. I think they beat Jacksonville.
I was going to give them their second win. I think that's your third for them.
That's the third. We don't get into the meat and potatoes of their division schedule until almost the second half of the season. So
because that's 8. So we got them at 2. You got them at 3 wins. Then they travel to Seattle.
I think they can beat Seattle. I don't even know who's their quarterback.
Drew Lock, Geno Smith.
Oh, Drew Lock is up there in Seattle. I think they beat Seattle. Yep. I think they go up there and they beat them. That's 4 wins.
I think they lose. So that's 2 for me. You got them at 4. I got them at 2. And the last one, week 10. The Texans come to New York.
Nope, they don't beat them. They lose to them.
Lovie Smith, baby. Lovie Smith. The Houston Texans. We're going to talk about the AFC South. They're going to surprise a lot of y'all. All right, so I have them at 2 wins. You have them at 4 after 10 games. Well, and I think we had them at 4 to 6 wins, I think, for the season.
I got them at 6 and 11.
And here's the second half of their season. It's because of all those early home games, and a lot of road games too.
Yep, and the division games too,
which might be good. Yeah, division games bad. Road games might be good because it's better to get booed on the road than it is to get booed at home. All right, let's go to the better teams now, if we can. I think we both had who do we have? Dallas in third. Yeah, we did.
Yep, Dallas in third place.
A little bit quicker. Dallas has the Bucks week 1.
L.
Agree. Bengals week 2.
L.
Giants week 3.
W.
We both had that as a win. Washington.
L.
The Rams.
L. Oh my God.
The Eagles.
L.
The Lions.
W.
The Bears.
W.
The Packers.
L.
The Vikings.
W.
Oh, I think they lose there. So you got them at 4 wins. I got them at 3. Wow. No, that's a tough schedule. No wonder.
Serious.
Yeah, so when
Serious.
So when we say, hey, they're going to be a third, there's a method to the madness. All right, let's get to the Commanders. Do you ever accidentally call them something else?
I still call them the Redskins. I gotta remember to not call them the Redskins. I gotta remind myself they're the Commanders now.
I still call them I got off of that and I called them just Washington. I called them the team that actually shouldn't be in the league.
I never called them the football team. I never called them that. I just called them Washington.
Washington, yeah. All right, Washington. Okay, they got the Jags week 1.
W.
Agree. Lions.
W.
Eagles.
L.
Cowboys.
W.
Titans.
L.
I'll tell you if I disagree. Bears.
W.
All right, that puts them at 4 and 2. 4 and 2. Okay, Packers.
L.
Colts.
W.
Vikings.
W.
Eagles.
Dub.
So you got them at 7 wins. I think they lose to the Vikings, so I got them at 6. That's in line with a 9-10 win team.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now we both had. Man, did you ever think we'd be in a world where we were picking Philadelphia to win the division? But
well, here's the thing about Philadelphia. Philadelphia, you mentioned it to me, and you didn't want to turn me on to it. So then I had to start doing my homework. I mean, the NFC East hasn't had a repeat champion in 20 years. Yeah. So to hear about the Cowboys, know that the Cowboys won the division last year. I'm thinking they're not winning it this year. They're not. So.
Jamar, appreciate you, man. But listen, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be more fluent. All right, here we go. The Eagles, first week 1. Lions.
W.
The Vikings.
W.
Commanders.
W.
The Jags.
W.
The Cardinals.
They got to go to Arizona, or the Cardinals coming to Philly?
In Arizona. In the big toaster.
They go out there and they beat them. Yep.
Ooh, okay.
Yep.
So you got them starting 5-0.
Yep. They got a very favorable schedule to start.
Then they got the Cowboys.
They beat them too.
6-0. I got them at 5-1. I think they lose to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's down the stretch now. You got them at 6-0. I got them at 5-1. Mm-hmm. You got the Steelers in Philly.
I think they could beat Philly. I think they can beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh quarterback situation is whack. I think they beat Pittsburgh.
Sleeping on Mitchell Trubisky.
No, I'm not.
You know he's the Nickelodeon MVP?
Oh, boy.
You got them at 7, and just so we're clear, you got them at 7-0.
And you know what, Tone? The reason why I got them at 7-0, the schedule that you just ran down, they are going to be touted as being contenders. They're fool's gold.
Oh, they are. Not only they're going to, you have them picking the division, you have them stuff crazy. Everyone's going to jump on the Eagles bandwagon, but don't get fooled.
Yep. Yep.
I see where you're going here. Okay, I like it. So I got I got them losing to the Steelers. So I got them at 5-2. You got them at 7-0. Then it gets favorable again. Then they get the Texans.
Dub 8-0.
The Commanders.
No, they lose to them.
And then they end their 10 games with the Colts.
I've been out on Matty Ice for years, so I think they beat them 9-1 to start the season.
Wow.
Yep, 9-1.
9. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. We just went through their 10 games. You got them at 9-1. Mm-hmm. I have just double check. I had them at 5-2, 6-2, 7-2. I have them at 8-2. You have them at 7. Apologies. I have them at 7-3. You have them at 9-1.
I got them rolling out the gate. Yes, I do.
Because I figure 7-3 makes sense to me because I have them at 12 wins. That means they got 7 games. They'll go 5-2 down the stretch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again down the stretch. Just why I say 5. I have them at 5-2. Like if you think about it, you had them at 11 wins.
Yeah,
but you already have them at 9-1. So you're saying they're only going to win 2 games. And here's who they're playing: the Giants, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Saints, and the Giants again. I think they
5 more games.
3 against those guys.
I think the Saints are going to be a lot better than what you think, Tone.
No,
right?
I'm high on the Saints. I think the Saints are going to be good.
I think the Saints are going to be a lot better. I think that they split with the Cowboys. I don't think they beat the Cowboys twice. I think they split with the Cowboys. I think they beat the Giants. I think that two more wins. I can see it.
All right, so there you have it. We've got I think both in agreement. We have Philadelphia winning the division, Washington, the surprise team, I think, at number 2, Cowboys at 3, and sorry, Washington, the Commanders will not be commanding that division this year, but
they will not.
The NFC East, so maybe the year after. Whoo-wee. All right, so do you want to do your thing, or do you want to do the halftime? What was scheduled for halftime?
What was scheduled for halftime?
Otto Porter.
Let's discuss Otto Porter. Because, again, here we go. I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I've actually looked at pictures. So, go ahead, Tone.
Here's the thing. We started off with Birds Aren't Real. We've had a discussion about Jimmy Butler being Michael Jordan's son. But, man, when I see pictures side by side of Otto Porter next to Wilt Chamberlain. Now, let me say this. Wilt Chamberlain holds, I think, the most records in the NBA to this day. Either currently or at some point in his career, at 76 records. 76 records. Incredible.
And just so you guys know, before we go any further, he retired almost 50 years ago. And he's still got that going on. So, anyway, I'm sorry, Tone. Keep going.
Was it 50? I'm trying to think of when he retired. I almost want to say
he retired in the 70. He's in the 73 season. That's when he quit.
Yeah, we're about to hit 50 years. Yeah,
almost 50 years. He's been retired. So
okay, one of his off the court records. So I can't say without laughing. One of his off the court records was that he, for reasons unknown to us,
emotional, damn it.
Yeah, that's the reason. 20,000 women. So is it his grandson? Is it his son? Like, what is it that when you see pictures, it's him?
Okay,
It's
so
him, right?
we'll start the conversation with, if you took a DNA test with Jimmy Butler, he is related to Jordan on some level. You're not selling me that those two dudes are not related. He is absolutely related to Michael Jordan on some level. Now, with that being said, it's obvious that that's not his son, and simply because when I look at
20,
no, he older than that. I think Otto Porter is almost 30. I think he's almost 30.
Do the math. So Otto Porter, we should probably find out when Otto Porter was born.
I think Otto Porter played. I think his last year at Georgetown. He's been in the league for like 12 years now, 11 years. So his last year in Georgetown, he was born in the 80s.
He was born in 1993.
Okay, so 93 he was born.
He was 93. Wilt, when did Wilt pass?
Chamberlain passed in 99. He was 60.
So he would have been 50?
57. He would have been 50. You see, he was 60 when he passed. So Chamberlain would have been, what, 53? That was 7 years. 6 years, 54.
So
No.
could he have
Nah.
50?
Nah. Even though when I look at these two, they look like they are related on some level. Whether that's your uncle, whether that's your father, on some level, those two guys look like they are related. Now, I'm not going to say that he Wilt's son, because again, Wilt talked about smashing 20,000 chicks when he was playing. He didn't talk about
After?
Yeah, he didn't talk about after he stopped playing. He's talking about when he was playing, which is ridiculous. Now, I want to also make sure that we clear too, Tone. There's no way that you've gotten with almost 20,000. You've gotten with over 20,000 women, and you don't have any kids running around. There's no way that's happened. No way.
Yeah, and that's where this whole thing stems from.
Yeah,
Right?
there's no way. There's no way that's not happening. That you've been with over 20,000 girls and you don't have any offspring, no kids. You didn't find one of those women that you was like, I'm loving and I want to have a kid with her. Not one. Nah, I'm having a difficult time to believe in that. But when I think about Otto Porter, you got the timeline, Tone. He was born in 1993. I'm sorry, 1993. That was 29 years ago. Wilt was in 1993. Wilt was 54. Yeah, Wilt was 54 years old, and I don't know if Wilt was messing around with Otto Porter's mother at 54 years old. I'm having a difficult time buying that logic. No, that wasn't happening. Absolutely not. That was not happening.
I don't know. Okay, so Otto Porter Sr. would be, I don't know that we have Otto Porter Sr.'s age, but let's just do, again, math. Let's say if he was born in 93, Porter Sr. might have been, 73, 65. Yeah, that makes more sense.
I don't know, man. Mm-mm. But I do think that they're related, though, Tone. I do think that they're related, because when I look at them, he looks like a younger Wilt. That's what he looks like. He looks like what Wilt looked like when Wilt was 29 years old. So I'm looking at.
You should do. I don't know if you've done this. Take a picture of Otto Porter Jr. And I'm gonna have words with him once he comes up to Toronto, like for training camp or whatever. We're gonna him and Bo Cruz, not Bo Cruz. What's his real name? Juan. I don't know how to say his last name. Juan Herman Gomez. Gomez. The guy Bo Cruz.
Hernan Gomez, Tone.
You know I can't say my own last name.
Oh my.
So Otto Porter Sr. was also a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay Marr, thank you so much for the donation. Much appreciated. So let's see, 65. Let's see, between 65 and 70, Senior was born. He's a baller. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Take a picture of Otto Porter Jr., put it in black and white, and then put it next to a picture of Wilt at that age.
It looks real similar, man. It does.
It's more believable than next week's conspiracy, which is that the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, is actually the son of Fidel Castro. But we'll talk about that next week.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, All right, so we always do this with the conspiracy theories. We didn't do it with the birds aren't real. So let's go back a second. We always put it at a 10 in the chat. Let us know out of 10. 0 being no chance it's real. 10 being 100% it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Are birds aren't real? Do you believe that all the birds have been replaced with robots to spy on us? 0 to 10.
0. I don't buy it at all. Nope. Mm-mm.
I give it a 1.
Nah, man.
There's never 0. Because it might not be 12 billion birds. It might be 12. There might be 12.
Hold on, Tone. So if we doing this right, if we killing 12 billion birds, that means we got to get a team to do this. We ain't just like birds aren't just dropping out of the sky, right? We got to put a team together to extinguish these guys.
It was for 59. It was from 59,
right?
2001 that they
right. So from 59. So that's 42 years, right? That's 42 years. So with that being said, we got to put a team together.
Of course,
we got to put a team together to extinguish all of these birds. And in the process of doing that, nobody in the 42 years is talking about. Okay, I was
listening.
I was responsible for getting rid of blue herons. Okay, what you responsible? I was responsible for getting rid of parrots. I was responsible. I know this sounds nuts. This sounds ridiculous. I was responsible for getting rid of blue jays. Yo, all the pigeons.
I think it's just 100. I think it's just all pigeons. So I want to. So we've got from 0 being no chance to 10. We have 9, minus 10,000, minus 10. We got a 5, a 4. Lettuce 4. That's high. Allen 8. Pfeiffer. Oh no, Pfeiffer went to a 1. Jillian says 3. So you Justin 0. 5s in here. Like we've got some numbers.
0.
All right, let's see if the tables turn on this one. Yeah, see, lettuce. You think it's a coincidence? You think it's a coincidence that they call planes birds? Huh?
Well, they call planes birds, Tone, because that's what they look like. If you've seen a plane, if you're staring at a plane like this, it looks like a bird.
Especially if they're robots. So I'm giving it a 1. I'm giving it a 1. I don't know what I just did there, so I'm putting that up on the screen. Okay, so let's see. So now the Otto Porter thing. So Otto Porter is Wilt Chamberlain's grandson. 0 being no chance in hell. 10 being I just took a DNA test, finds out he's 100% that dude, no doubt.
My man All Laughs asked the question, and I am 100% on board. I need to know what Doc said to Bird. I have to. I got to know. What made Doc punch Bird in the face? I got to know.
He said birds aren't real.
I need to know what he said to Doc. I need to know what he said to Bird to make Doc punch him in the face. I need to know what Bird said to him. The Wilt Otto Porter thing, I can decipher, and I don't even need to see a DNA test to tell that, yo, on some level, these dudes are related because they look so much alike. I'm never gonna. That was over 40 years ago when Doc punched Bird in the face. I would love to know what he said to him. I would love to know. No doubt.
Okay. So you're giving that a 10?
Yes.
I know you did. You jump? Was that you jumped? I think you jumped to that super chat, which we will pull that up in a second, and I'll give you my thoughts on that. Just we're having some technical difficulties pulling it up. All right, so let's get it. Otto Porter, we've got 10, 9. Trudeau, save Trudeau, Aerosmith. Save it for next week.
I don't think they're sons. I don't think that's his son, Tone. I don't think it's his son at all, but I do think that they're related on some level.
10, 8, 8. So everyone's believing that Otto Porter is the grandson. 6, 7, 5.
Tone, you seen what they look like side by side. You seen it? They have to be related on some level. Have to be.
I don't disagree. That's what I said. So okay, I'm an 8. I'm an 8 on that one. We will get to
6.
We'll get to the super chats. Keep them coming. We have a full section of the show at the end to get to all of them. Okay, so this is your time to shine. Chill. I didn't realize what you were talking about when you suggested is Steph in the same sentence or as Shaq and Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where are you coming up with this crap? And then I realized, well, that's because someone had said it. So I'm going to somehow give you the floor and tell us your thoughts on, is Steph in the same sentence with Shaq and Kobe?
Well, if you know me, you know that I got these guys ranked right behind each other. I got Diesel at 10, I got Bryant at 11, and I got Curry at 12. Now, here's the thing. Because you ranked next to somebody doesn't mean that you're close to them. You just in front of the other person. That doesn't mean that you're close to these other people. So we'll start with Shaq, right? We'll start with Shaq's impact. Back then when Shaq came in, it was a big man league. Shaq was a franchise player. Not only was Shaq a franchise player, he had an immediate impact. He won Rookie of the Year. He made the All-NBA team his second year in the league, and he stayed on the All-NBA team for 14 seasons. 14 years, and the Orlando Magic was in the playoffs for the time being that he was there. So he was an elite player right from the beginning, and he stayed an elite player for more than a decade. Shaq became and stayed an elite player. When I think about his impact on his team, and I think about how good he was, I can't say that when he was dominating the game from like 99 to 2000, from that 99-2000 season, I don't think that there was anybody better than him at that time. In 90, he was the best player in the game. Now, when I think about other times, you can make the argument that Olajuwon was better than Shaq. David Robinson and David Robinson was never better than Shaquille O'Neal. At no point. David Robinson was never better than Shaquille. But you can make the argument, and I thought that this was going on during that time, that Olajuwon was better than Shaq. So, other than that, his dominance for well longer than a decade is up in terms of big men is unmatched. I thought he was better than Ewing. I thought he was better than I thought he was better than David Robinson. I thought he was better than Alonzo Mourning. So that was during that time. Now, when you talk about Kobe Bryant, when you talk about the entire, like he's very similar to Steph Curry in the sense that he didn't come in right from the beginning and just blow you away. It took him some time to get it together. But by year 3, we had recognized that Kobe Bryant was an elite player. And he stayed on the All-NBA team from year 3, which was the 1998-99 season, to the 12-13 season. That's 14 years. So that's also another guy, including making first team All-NBA, I think 10 straight years. So there was no question that Kobe Bryant was the best player in the game at his position. Now, when I think about Steph Curry, you could make the argument during his reign when he was winning league MVPs and they were winning an NBA championship. He didn't come into the game like Shaq. It took him 5 years before he became an elite player. And when he became an elite player, I think Steph Curry's in year 13. When he became an elite player, he stayed an elite player. But the good thing about Steph Curry is that he's still playing at a high level. So because he's still playing at a high level, we can talk about him with Kobe Bryant. We can talk about him with Shaq. But in terms of what they've done, I don't think it's that close. I give Kobe Bryant the edge because of what he did on the defensive side of the basketball and the complete player that he was. I think that impacted his team winning more than what Steph Curry did. I think Shaq, his dominance and his ability to completely control the offense and defense. I mean, Shaq made the All-League defensive team 3 times. I do think he underachieved as a defender, but he did make the All-League defensive team 3 times. But I think during his reign and his dominance, I think it's almost unmatched. But you can talk about Steph Curry in the same category with these dudes because of what he had done.
I don't know how you don't have him in the same sentence, and here's why. I'm much higher on Kobe than you are, but for the most part, you're going to hear Kobe's name. Look, there's some outliers that have him 2, 1, but for the most part, the consensus is if you have Kobe anywhere from like 5, 6 to 11, 12. Right, it really depends on what you value, big men, whatever, all those things. But I think a safe assessment is no one has Kobe outside of like 6 to 12. Mm-hmm. Shaq, same thing. You don't hear Shaq in the top 4, right? Typically, the top four, like again, the consensus top four is some combination of Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Bird, right? There's some Wilts in there, there's some Russells, but I think overall. So really, what we're talking about is so Shaq in the same thing. Shaq, I hear 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've recently moved Hakeem ahead of Shaq. However, so he's, let's say 5. Again, the consensus is that 5 to 11. I don't know that I've had anyone have him outside of that top 11. Curry, who's still playing, by the way, so not likely that he's going to drop unless something crazy happens. Curry's in that, maybe not 5, 6, 7, but we're hearing Curry in that 9, 10, 11, 13, 4. Like, we're hearing that 9 to 14 range. So if I got two guys who are in that, call it 6 to 12, and a guy who's in that, let's say 8 to 14, well, there's overlap. That means there are some people, and there's probably some in the chat right now, some people who are going to see this and be like, no, Curry's ahead of Kobe. Oh, no, Curry's ahead of Shaq. Now, I don't agree with either one of them who would say that. However, if Kobe is 6 to 12 and Shaq is 6 to 12-ish, and Curry is 8 to 14, he's in that conversation.
Yes.
Like, I think, and I've said this before, after that top 5, 6 through 15, people are going to be having debates, right? They're going to be having discussions on who and how those two things go. So
I get that all the time, Tone. OG, why was Magic better than Bird? Tim Duncan, is he better than Olajuwon? Is Olajuwon better than Shaq? Kobe Bryant at 11. When I think about those three guys together, I do think it's a conversation, but the separation between those three, now your separation is in the rankings. So with Bryant, people have him anywhere between 8 and 12. Most of the people that I know have him between 8 and 12. I know you got him at 5, right? Most of the people that I know have him between 8 and 12. Same thing with Shaq. Most people that I know have Shaq anywhere between 7 and 11. So when I think about the separation between Curry, Shaq, and Kobe, so the separation between him and Kobe was a more complete player, and I think he affected the game more in terms of winning than Steph Curry did because of him being a complete player. That's number one. Number two, I think that he's got signature moments. Like, we just saw Steph Curry's signature moment in the finals against Boston, right? So up until that point, he hadn't had any signature moments. Tone, I was in the building at Arco Arena in 2001 when Kobe put 48 and 16 on the Sacramento Kings to sweep them. And this is a 21-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid, 48 and 16 in the closeout game. I was in the building that day. I was in the building that day when Kobe Bryant was sick and they beat the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs. I was there that day when they beat the Boston Celtics in Game 7. Tone, if you remember, he's not having a good game that day. In fact, he's pretty bad. And he has to figure out that, okay, if I keep playing like this, these guys are going to beat us. He damn sure did grab 15 rebounds in that Game 7. That's a signature moment. When I think about Steph Curry's signature moments in the playoffs and in big games, I won't even talk about Kobe Bryant's 81 points or 62 points in
Why are you going to dismiss the game that I was at?
Well, I'm not going to dismiss it because we don't even need to talk about that stuff. That stuff goes without saying. I mean, the fact that he had 81 in the game, the fact that he had 62 and 3/4, those things, we don't even need to talk about that because that goes without saying. Now, when we get to the bigger stage, that's always been Steph Curry's Achilles heel. It wasn't Kobe's.
Right.
Kobe showed up in the playoffs, and not only did he show up in the playoffs, he performed at a high level on the regular. He doesn't have many bad moments in the playoffs.
You got to dive in really deep with Curry, but those who can get past when you watch him play, you just like, wow. Go back and look in that 3-1, whether you want to give the credit to LeBron and the Cavs or call the Warriors choke artist. Go look at how he played in those as that turnaround was happening in Game 5 and 6 and 7. Curry's was not Curry, and that's not the only time. There's been other times, but yeah, he does have a tendency to have struggles.
Right.
Now, part of that is, listen, we're not going to let Curry kill us. And they start, they throw some different defenses at him, some extra double teams.
Right.
Like I remember they were showing a stat when KD was on the Warriors. They're like, yeah, of course KD was the top scorer shooting, 42% from three. They doubled Curry 80% of the time, right? So there is that, right? When they lost to the Raptors, now I get it, KD was hurt. And then in that last game, Clay, at the end of game 5, I guess he got hurt. That box and one, where it's like, let's just everybody cover Curry, see if anybody else can beat us. So
right.
there are things that people do to make it harder on him. But like I said, if they're in that conversation, I'm not putting him over them like you because of their basketball. Like I'm picking Shaq. Like if I'm building a team, I'm picking Shaq and Kobe before I'm picking Curry.
I am too. And like I said, Tone, I think Bryant has more signature moments. Not just in his career, but throughout the postseason, he's got more signature moments than Steph Curry. Don't get me wrong. Steph Curry has had some big time moments in the playoffs, but I don't think that it was to the effect of it wasn't to the effect of what Kobe did. Kobe has some signature moments. Now, when I think about Shaq, I think about what he had done. Again, Curry has been in the NBA Finals 4 times in 6 years. Shaq was in the Finals 5 times in 7 years, and won it 4. And he was the MVP he was the MVP 3 straight years. 3 straight years he was the MVP of the Finals. So when I think about the playoffs, when I think about Shaq, he's been his team was in the Western Conference Championship 5 times in 8 years. So that Laker team, they were on a tear, and that was primarily due to he was the catalyst to what they were doing. So if I had to choose between the three of them, I don't think that it's that far of a gap, but I do think it's a gap.
Okay. All right. So in the same sentence, but clearly I think we know how we rank them all. All right, let's go to the super chats and best questions of the day to end the show. Here we go. We're starting. I think you answered this one a little bit. Thank you. Super chat. Thank you. It's all laughs. Oh, wait, you want to laugh? Let me give you one. All right. I like the would you rathers. Would you rather have the DNA test between Wilt and Porter or find out what Bird said to Doc? Okay. I think you answered it, so I'll answer it. I don't need a DNA test to tell me that Otto Porter is related to Wilt Chamberlain. So I 1000% agree with Chill. I'd love to know what Bird said to Doc that made Doc a respectable. See, and this will lead out into the second question. When someone is highly respectable and mature and level-headed, and they lose their cool, gotta know why. Which brings us to the second super chat. The second super chat is, oops. Hey, we get applause to all the super chats. I ain't never seen you get that mad before last night. Want to let that one go, or you want to respond? I'll save you with this. Here we go. RJ Barrett. This was one of the early ones, but I liked it, from Alpha Tanks. Thoughts on RJ Barrett? You're high on RJ Barrett, right?
I am high on RJ. I think he's going to make the All-Star team this year. I said it before the season started. I think he's their franchise player. And when draft night came up, I thought that I'm making everybody else available except RJ. I'm building my unit around him. He's improved every year, not just statistically, but as a ball player. He's improved his ball handling. He's improved his mid-range. So I'm big on RJ Barrett. I think he's going to be a lot better this season. I just think that the Knicks got to do a better job in building around him than they have done.
I am not high on RJ Barrett, and it's nothing to do with him. It has to do more with him being on the Knicks. They spent a ton of money on Brunson, and no one's worried about Brunson. Brunson cannot pick up the slack in the backcourt. And what I mean by that, if RJ Barrett's having a bad night, if there's the defender's not going to pick up Brunson, the best defender of the other team is going to pick up Barrett. So I think that he's going to get, Julius Randle has come back down to Julius Randle, right? He had that one season where it's like, ooh, no, right. He's who he is. And so I think that's going to be the issue with RJ Barrett, is he's going to face the best defender. He's going to face the attention of of defending teams. And I really don't like his supporting cast. Listen, we know when you play with better players,
right,
you have an opportunity at least to play better. And when you play with worse players, I just that's where I feel like he's. And then do I trust the Knicks to develop, right? Who's going to make him better on the court, off the court? Like from a coaching perspective, who's making him better? My answer is I don't know. So that's my only concern.
Well, wait a minute though, Tone, because Tibbs has done a good job in toughening guys up, and I think that RJ Barrett needed that.
Tibbs has done a good job of toughening guys up and playing them to a breaking point, although he's done better with the Knicks.
Right. And not only has he done better with the Knicks, RJ has improved, and he's become a better leader on that group. I think that the problem that we have in Tone is the Knicks haven't done a great job in building around him. They haven't established who the guy is. The Knicks have been so bad for so long that they're trying to shove it in our faces. We're going to make the playoffs instead of, number one, establishing who the guy is on the group, building around him, and moving forward. They're not doing that. They haven't established, okay, RJ Barrett is our franchise player. We're building around him. They haven't established any of that. What they're doing is they're throwing guys together and they're seeing what works. That's not the way a successful franchise is. In other words, the Knicks will nick.
The Knicks will nick. Okay, so let me ask you this. If we looked at you, because you said you have him as an all-star.
I do.
Correct? Okay. So if we look at the all-stars last year from the East, if I may, here, hold on. Here we go. Let's see the guards. We had Garland, Trae Young, Jimmy Butler, Fred VanVleet, Jason Tatum. I'm not sure if he was a guard. No, he might have been listed.
He's listed as a forward.
Sorry, Zach LaVine and James Harden. Who's he knocking out?
You just said it, Tom. I think he goes. I think he goes in front of Van Fleet.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I missed one. Sorry, Trae Young, DeMar DeRozan. Trae Young.
DeMar DeRozan is listed. DeMar DeRozan is listed as a power forward, which is nuts to me.
He's back as a guard now.
Good, finally. I'm glad to hear that. He was listed as a power forward last year. That's nuts.
So Jimmy Butler, Darius Garland, James Harden, Zach LaVine,
and Van Fleet.
So those were the 7. So you think he's bumping Fred?
I do. I think he bumps Fred, and I think that he challenges Jimmy Butler for that spot.
And you don't think there's anybody else in the East that, like Ben Simmons, might come in and play?
Well, Ben Simmons, I think Bradley Beal is going to be in contention.
Bradley Beal, yeah.
Kyrie Irving, he's going to be in the topic of discussion. But I think that with RJ Barrett and what he's done over these last couple of years, I mean, we're talking about a guy 22 a game last year. I think that 22, I think it goes up. And not only does it go up, I think he's going to make the Knicks better. I don't know how much better, but I do think he's going to make the Knicks better. I really wish that they would just establish him as their franchise player, build the unit around him, and move forward. That's what I'd like to see.
I want to give you some more names. So we said Trae Young, we said Kyrie Irving. No one mentioned Drew Holiday, LaMelo Ball, Garland. None of those. I'm
good on LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball has been in and out of the lineup, and he's not only been in and out of the lineup, he's been in and out of the lineup for the last couple of years.
5.
Say it again, Tom.
Is he better than those 5?
Well, it's not about being better more than it is having a better year.
Okay, will he have a better year than those 5?
I think he'll have a better year than Lonzo Ball. Who else did you say?
No, I said LaMelo.
LaMelo Ball. Oh, you're talking about not Lonzo. You're talking about LaMelo Ball from Charlotte. Okay, so LaMelo Ball.
I'll give you the 5 again. Trae
Young, Irv,
Holiday,
LaMelo
Ball, Darius Garland.
LaMelo Ball, Darius Garland. It's going to be tough to get in. It is, Tone, and I think that
there's more, but
right
over any one of those 5.
Not any of those 5 right now.
Okay,
if we going into the season, maybe Drew Holiday. I think that he could possibly beat Drew Holiday out. Maybe.
Okay, so here I'll give you some more names. So there's 5, and you have 4 of them that you don't think he's gonna have a better season than.
Just those 4.
Just those 4. Hold on, there's more. But wait. It's like an infomercial. But wait, there's more. James Harden, Zach LaVine, Jaylen Brown, Bradley Beal.
He's got to beat out Brad. I don't think he beats out Jaylen Brown, but I do think that he can beat out Bradley Beal. I think he can have a better season than him because I don't think Washington's going to be very good this year. I don't.
Okay.
I don't think that Washington's going to be very good. I think that I don't think that the Knicks are going to be much better, but I don't think Washington's going to be very good.
That's 2 of 9. So you got him right on that bubble.
I do. Nobody
else better step up. Okay, last one, and this one might be for me, but I'm gonna ask you to answer it first. So you know, Jay has never played fantasy football in his life. In fact, I invited him to play in my family fantasy football league that I'm the commissioner in, and he still wouldn't play. That's how much against fantasy football he is. So I'll ask you, and then I'll give you the pro pick. In your fantasy draft, who are you taking 1? Christian McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor? The good news is
Jonathan Taylor, because Christian McCaffrey, he's just been beat up. Now, don't get me wrong, Christian McCaffrey, in terms of him being a player and in terms of him producing, he's a better all-around back. But he's been hurt, so I can't rely on him. See, Jonathan Taylor's the guy.
You should play fantasy because that is the correct answer. Jonathan Taylor is the safer pick. So what I mean by safer pick, and I hope something Wong one, I like that, something Wong one, that you're still here to listen to this is because Jonathan Taylor is the safer pick. So what do you want? Do you want the lower floor with the lower ceiling, or do you want the lower floor with the higher ceiling? What do I mean by that? Christian McCaffrey can either be a dud because he might get hurt and now you've wasted a first overall pick, or he could be Christian McCaffrey of 3 years ago that he can do no wrong. Jonathan Taylor, however, is going to come right in between those two. And here's the thing, even Christian McCaffrey at his best will probably give you 3 more points a game than Jonathan Taylor. The problem is if he gets hurt and doesn't play, he's going to give you 0 points to Jonathan Taylor, whatever he gives you. So for me, so many people take, like, I don't want to take a risk on my first round pick. Like that's the safe one. That's the one that you got to nail. Now, if we're going to get deep into fantasy advice, I'll say you don't win and lose fantasy football in the draft. You win and lose it on the waiver wire. That being said, I'm in every single one of my mock drafts, every single one of my leagues, and I play in too many. I'm staying away from Christian McCaffrey. I really like unless I'm picking late in the first round and he falls to me, and it's like take a wide receiver or take CMC, then I'm like, all right, I'll take him. That has not happened yet. Christian McCaffrey's going 1, 2, 3 in every league, and I think those people they're gonna. The upside of it isn't going to be as great as you think. Like I said, right? Like if you get 20 a game, and I'm just making up a number to make it easy. If you get 20 a game from Christian McCaffrey, but you're biting your nails every week wondering if he's going to stay healthy versus say I'm getting 17 a week from Jonathan Taylor and I don't got to worry. I'm taking the 17 a week.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for this week. Man,
One more. Yeah. Right. FIFA boy asked about a top 5 season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. FIFA boy asked, can you name who did he say? We got one more, Tone. Yeah. He said, can y'all name who had a top 5 season all time? Absolutely, I can name a bunch of people who had a top 5 season. All time.
I pinned the ones I pinned the super chats. So you guys, I'll give you a little behind the scenes. When you guys go into your chat, I can pin them and it moves into a separate category. So I just have those ones that I've starred. Was that a super chat or just a regular chat?
It was a super chat.
It was a super chat. All right, in that case, we definitely stop and read it. Here we go.
Yep.
Here it is. FIFA, thank you for the super chat. Let me give you your. I feel like I should be giving you flowers, but instead, I'm giving you. Can y'all name who had a top 5 season all time? Are we talking basketball, football? Let's do basketball. I'm assuming it's basketball. FIFA, although it might be soccer because he's FIFA boy. I cannot name you. Wait, Pele, Maradona, Messi, Ronaldo. I don't even think I can name you 5 soccer players. And another guy.
I know a few of them. I know Ronaldo. I know Messi. I know Chicharito.
Chicharito? You're joking.
I do. I know Chicharito.
Like, personally, you know him, or that's real?
I don't know. I'm sorry. No, I don't know him, but I know of him. Let me rephrase that. Yeah, I know of him. So, go ahead, Son. I'm sorry.
No. I just so we're gonna assume it's basketball.
Yes, it is basketball.
Go ahead.
So, top 5 seasons. Chamberlain had a top 5 season. He averaged 50 and 26. Played 48 minutes a game. Played every game, which is a record to this day. And he did not win the league MVP, which is nuts to me. Even considering,
insane.
Even still, Olajuwon had a top 5 season in the 1993-94 season. That Houston Rockets team, not only did they win the NBA championship, they started the season 16-0. They were 21. They were 22-1 at one point. Olajuwon won league MVP. He was the defensive player of the year. His team won the NBA championship, and he was the Finals MVP. That's never happened in NBA history. Nobody has never done that. Before he did it, and since he did it, nobody has never done that. Let's see. Steph Curry had a top 5 season. He was the unanimous league MVP, and I still think that that's nuts. That unanimous, that he was the league MVP. Like, nobody else was even in contention to be unanimous league MVP, and he was unanimous league MVP. So, Jordan had a top 5 season, the 87-88 season, which I still stand on it. The fact that he won the league MVP and the defensive player of the year, I still think the next season, which was the 88-89 season, I thought he had a better season than he did the year he won the league MVP and the defensive player of the year. So those are just a few.
You didn't say, I didn't hear you say Shaq 99-2000.
And I was going to say that I was leaving that to you, Tony. I was like I said, because I knew that I'm
Laker, right?
Yeah.
Like he should have been. He should have been
unanimous. One vote.
And who was that vote for? Do you remember?
Allen Iverson.
Come on, man.
For Allen Iverson.
No offense to AI, but come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
So Shaq was what? 30, 14, 4 assists, half a steal, 3 blocks, 57+% from the field. Like, that is a season. Of course, I agree. I think you said LeBron's. You said Wilt's, right? The 48.5. Mm-hmm. I think we all agree on that one. And did you say LeBron's 2013?
I did not, but I was gonna get to that.
Yeah,
but you left out. But you left out too, Tony. You kind of shortchanged in Shaq. Don't forget, he finished second that year in defensive player of the year too.
Second in defensive player. Someone asked me what Shaq dominant on defense, and I was like 99-2000. I just don't think that's just there. Like, that was that year. Like I wrote. I'm trying to find it. Is what you see me scrolling, because I wrote, like, I don't write a lot. But I wrote like a whole thing on it. So let's go through the accomplishments. So first of all, he was on a team, the Lakers, that went 67-15. Obviously, they won the NBA championship. He was the final MVP, the MVP, All NBA first team, All Defensive second team, which is crazy considering he was second in Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, All-Star Game MVP, led the league in scoring, led the league in field goal percentage. Like, insane what he did.
Third in the league in blocks. Third in the league in rebounding. Yeah, he was awesome that year. He was absolutely awesome. No doubt about it.
What other ones? I'm scrolling through my list. And you did. Sorry, you didn't say. I thought you would, because I thought 2013 was LeBron's best year.
I was going to say James. That was my next one. Like I said, I didn't want to leave out. I wanted to leave some for you.
Oh, I see. What about Olajuwon 93-94?
That's for me. That's at the top of the list. With the exception of Chamberlain, I think that one's at the top of the list. Won the league MVP, won the defensive player of the year, won the NBA championship, and was the Finals MVP. That has never been done in NBA history. Nobody has ever done that. Never.
I'll give honorable mention because he's my guy. Magic 86-87.
Yeah, he was awesome that year.
24, 6, and 12. 65 and 17 were the Lakers. NBA again. This matters. NBA champion, Finals MVP, All NBA first team, All-Star, led the league in assists. Like, when you do that much, right? Jordan, you could say 87, 88, 90, 91. Like, Jordan has a few. LeBron has a few. Even there were years LeBron, like, I want to say like 11, 12. They just didn't end sometimes as good as you would have liked them to. When you lead the league in multiple categories, when you're an All NBA, All Defense, an MVP, an NBA champion, a Finals MVP, there's, like, I think we unfortunately named like 10 different ones, and FIFA asked for 5. But Is there okay? If Wilt, let me ask you this. I know it's an if. If Wilt won, there wasn't a finals. So I'm assuming if Wilt had won, if there was more accolades, like back in those days, like if Wilt had won the NBA like champion finals MVP, if it existed, right? Defensive player of the year and average 48.5 and 50. That's clearly the number one, right?
We'd be talking about him way different. We'd be talking about him. First of all, it wouldn't be real. People would be like, "Yo, those numbers are inflated." That's what they would say. They would tell us that we were crazy. So they would be like, "Those numbers are inflated. Y'all lying. He didn't average 50 a game, and he was the best defensive player in the game." And because back then, Tone, remember, it was less teams in the league, which means that the competition was more condensed. So to see Wilt, if they were keeping blocks, Wilt averaging something nuts like 7 or 8 blocks a game, in addition to 26 rebounds, they would have told us that we were crazy. No, that wasn't going on.
All right. So the last thing, I'm going to leave the chat with this. So you have Olajuwon's 93-94 season as number one all time?
I have it at the top of the list. Yes.
All right. I've got Shaq's 99-2000. So vote one. Vote one for Hakeem. I feel like I'm what's that guy on American Idol? Ryan Seacrest, yes. Vote one for Hakeem Olajuwon. Vote 2 for Shaquille O'Neal. Let's go in the chat. All right. While that closes out, any final parting words? I'm just going to assume everybody's voting for Shaq. Curry had a better year than Olajuwon. You agree with that?
No way. Absolutely not. No way did he have a better season than Olajuwon did. No, he was on a better team. Don't get me wrong. I will say that. I do believe that he was on a better team than Olajuwon, but he did not have a better season than Olajuwon did that year. No, he did not. I think Olajuwon was third in the league that year in scoring. Yeah, he was third in the league in scoring. I think he was second in the league in rebounding. I think he led the league. He was second in the league in blocks. They had the best. They had the number 2 seed in the West. Yeah, they had the number 2 seed in the West, and he was the best defensive player in the game. Because at that time he had won the defensive player of the year that year for the second time in a row. By the way, that was in back-to-back seasons. He had won defensive player of the year.
I just want like Bubba G Cuts and all you guys that are voting one to let you know that Lettuce, who was the first one to reply with number 2, he's my new favorite commenter. Thanks, Lettuce.
How do you have 87 Jordan over 13 James? Better individual performance. 87? Okay, he averaged 37 a game. That's it. He did make the All-League defensive team. So did James. He didn't finish second in defensive player of the year like James did that year in 13. He just averaged more points than James did that year. James shot almost 60% from the floor, shot over 40% on the long ball. And by the way, I believe that was that season. No, it wasn't. It was in 2008, 2009. That's not true. But Jordan wasn't even Jordan yet. I would not put Jordan's 87 season over James's 13 season. No. If you said 92, I can get with that logic. No doubt about that.
I don't even do that, and you know how I feel about Mike.
Yeah.
So just a quickly answer this, and then we're out. We're half an hour long. Are we going to? We never. Just to be clear, Bubba G Guts. Or if it says, are we going to debate ticket in the future, or y'all one and done? I don't know. We don't really do debates. We do more like conversations where we have discussions. But that was on a different show, and it wasn't supposed to be a debate. Just FYI, it was just the two of us were supposed to join Will and Shaq. So if I'm on the show again, and if I'm on a show that he's on again for me, then yes. But I went 3-0 against him yesterday, so I don't really need to. I'm undefeated. And Jay was 2-1, and the only reason I give him a 1 is because he lost his temper, and that's a loss.
Right here. I'll eat it. No doubt.
Nah, you know what though? Anyway, I'm not gonna say anything more about it. Whatever. It is what it is. But I will say this. I don't know if you saw the tape. Let's speak to. I saw Jay Will when I was telling my reason why I had Jordan 1. I saw him shaking his head yes a lot. I don't know. I might be starting to switch Jay Will over to the dark side. Come on, Jay Will. Come Come over to the dark side and pick Jordan over LeBron. He doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to lose, any young fans. I think.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for this week. Listen, I didn't put this up, so I'm going to do it right now. It's late in the game. However, we've got some Fluent and Chill merch at fluentchill.myshopify.com. You can get your team chill. You can get your team fluent. You can got that's not ridiculous. Now you're more fluent. 6/4, debate over, GOAT James. We literally have something for everybody at fluentchill.myshopify.com. If you're not already a subscriber, you've been here for an hour and a half, you should be subscribing to this channel, Chilltown Hoops. You should be following Chilltown32 on TikTok. And for Christ's sakes, sports_fluent, TikTok, Twitter, and IG. I put up a lot of content. Give us some love. Until next week.
Take it light, but take it.